Hello and welcome to my full review of the beautiful Dethleffs Trend I7057DBL. This is one of two reviews I'm releasing at the same time. This is a full-length nuts and bolts in-depth review of this motorhome after I've lived with it for a week. But if you want something quicker, more succinct, just the highlights of what this motorhome is like, then I'm doing a second review. And if you want that quicker, more succinct review, I'll leave a link to that in the description below this video. So you've got a choice of short or long. So this is the longer in-depth review, and the format we're going to take today, as normal, is first of all we're going to talk about the dimensions and the weights. We'll then have a look at the exterior. Then we'll talk about on the road, what it's like to drive and setting up for driving on the road. Then we'll take a look at the interior, both daytime living and nighttime living. After that, everyone's favorite part, any breakages or failures and any niggles. And then at the end of the video, I'll sum up what this motorhome has been like to live with, whether or not this motorhome is for you, and any options that I would consider if I was buying this motorhome. So we shall crack straight on with the weights and the dimensions of this motorhome. Dethleffs UK have asked me not to say anything about prices because I'm filming this early July 2022 and the prices for the 2023 season have not yet been announced. Also, as we know, the market over the past 12 months has been variable, to say the least. So what I've been asked to tell you to do is to check with your local Dethleffs UK dealer for up-to-date prices and availability of this motorhome. So there's a link to Dethleffs UK in the description below this video. Use the dealer search function to find your nearest dealer and check with them on the price, the current price when you're watching this, and availability of this motorhome. Now, as far as the dimensions go, this motorhome is 7.4 meters long. It's 2.33 meters wide, which is great. And then the weights, the MRO, that's the mass in running order before you put anything in it, is 2970 kilograms, 2,970. And then the MTPLM, the maximum technical permitted laden mass, is a car license friendly 3,499 kilos. So yes, it's 1 kilo short of the 3.5 ton limit that you have on your regular car license. You don't need to sit a special license in order to drive this motorhome. Also, that makes it cheaper when, for example, you're traveling here on the continent and you need to pay for tolls, because you get a cheaper toll on the road under 3.5 tons. Happy days.
Yeah, you can be lucky because this is the wrong price for this one. This normally is 48. Yeah.
This is under 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe.
Now those weights give you a payload of 529 kilos. But remember folks, from that 529 kilos, you need to deduct 75 kilos for every passenger on board. So if you are traveling with one passenger as well as the driver, you need to deduct 75 kilos, and that will give you 454 kilos of usable payload. If you are traveling with a full house, which is 3 passengers, because this is a 4-berth motorhome, then you need to deduct 225 kilos from that, and that will give you a usable payload of 304 kilos. That's starting to get a little bit tight, but it's more than doable if you are careful with your loading. But also remember folks, if you go for options, anything off the options list, like for example that pull-out awning, the weight of that also comes out of your payload. So check with your dealer when you're ticking the options list how much these options are weighing, because you need to deduct those from the payload as well. But like I say, with a full house on board, you've still got 300 kilos to play with. It's not huge. You're not going to take a motorbike and 4 e-bikes and fill up all the cupboards full of stuff for a year's traveling. Not if there's 4 of you. But for 2 of you especially, it's going to be fine for everything. And if there's 4 of you, you just need to be quite frugal with your loading. But of course, the advantages are you're under 3.5 tons. Happy days. Now included in those figures is 20 litres of water weighing 20 kilos. So if you want to carry more than 20 litres of water, you need to also deduct 1 kilo for every litre of water you're carrying. The freshwater tank is on board, it's inside, so it's warmed by any heating you have on inside the motorhome, and it is 116 litres. The wastewater tank is exterior, it is not heated, but it is insulated, and the wastewater tank is 90 litres. So they're the dimensions. Now let's take a closer look at the exterior. So here we go, very handsome, very minimal exterior here. The Thule Omnistore pull-out canopy is an option. Now there is no fold-out step on this motorhome, and the height of the step here is 36 centimeters or 14 inches. I do not like these clips that hold the door back because they don't work very well at all in the wind, but the door does have a fly screen, and the width of the door, even though in the brochure it says it's 70 centimeters, I find that the usable width, because of the fly screen, is actually only 64 centimeters. That's 25 inches. There is of course a light over the door as well. Now what's great about the garage capacity is 150 kilos, is you've got these one-handed door locks, which is really good. And in the garage you've got a mains socket, you've got a light, and you've got mounting points for your bicycle, etc. Also, these are the travel seats, we'll come to that in the on the road section. And then as we go around the back, reversing camera is an option. I would 100% get one of those if I was buying this motorhome. Freshwater inlet is here. As you can see, there's a garage door on both sides. And then your gas is here. Nice and low, so it's easy to get the cylinders in. You can get 2 large cylinders in there. This particular motorhome also has come with the option of the crash sensor. Again, I would totally get a crash sensor, so you can leave the gas open while you're traveling. It makes life so much easier. Mains inlet here, and then your water outlet, your wastewater outlet, is under here, and you need a key. You need a square key to discharge your wastewater. And finally, the diesel cap is fitted behind a nice cover there. So that is a quick look at the exterior. Let's see what this little baby is like on the road. Right, so on the road now, before we set off, I'm going to set up one of the travel seats in this motorhome, because this is the DBL layout, the lounge layout, which gives you this beautiful lounge during the day. But of course, if you want to travel with more than one passenger, the main passenger will obviously travel at the front, you need to make up the travel seats here at the back. If you're going to carry passengers on a regular basis, then you might wish to go for another layout with a dinette and fixed travel seats. But if you're only going to carry more than one passenger on an occasional basis and you want the benefit of this beautiful lounge layout, then this is the sacrifice you need to make. So it's ingenious though, it's absolutely ingenious. You'd put these cushions away in the garage when you're traveling. Just going to put them out of the way for now. Then we fold up this. There's your seatbelt there. And this cushion goes back here like this. We retrieve one of the seat backs out of the garage, which has got a couple of, try not to get in your way, there's a couple of locators there, slides in, and then there's a bolt on the back. And then there's a bolt down here, can you see it? Yep, so there's a bolt here. Fasten the bolt. Ta-da! And there you have it, one travel seat. So there you go, that's how you make the travel seats up, and it's the same on the other side. So the one thing I will say is that, I'll grab the camera, there's not a huge amount of legroom here at all. I think backseat passengers are going to be struggling a bit. You can sort of go sideways and put your feet up behind the, but then you're going to be, yeah, not a huge amount of legroom. Let me just grab my tape measure. And the gap here is 27 centimeters. That's just over 10 inches. I think you get more than that with Ryanair. So yeah, let me just grab the camera and show you what I mean. So yeah, there you have it. It's sort of quite narrow. That's only, as I say, 10 inches. So when you're sat here, see my feet just about. That's because I've got sandals on. If I had bigger feet, I've got size 8, 42. Yeah, but you can, as I say, you can bring your foot up there, but then this, because this foot needs to come round here, so then you need to sort of sit diagonally. But yeah, it does for. Let me turn that around. So yeah, it does for probably children, small children, or for occasional use, but I don't think you would want to be an adult sitting here on a very long journey. I think if you're looking at taking 2 passengers on a regular basis, or 3 passengers, then I think you might wish to consider one of the more traditional dinette layouts of the Dethleffs Trend. This lounge layout is brilliant, works beautifully, but I think it's really only when there's 2 of you and you only just want this ability to be able to carry 2 extra passengers on an ad hoc basis. So that's the travel seats. Now let's have a look at the cab and go for a drive. Now let's have a quick look at the cab. So we will turn this seat around. And as don't forget folks, obviously in the UK we will have right hand drive, steering wheel will be on this side, but even in the UK there's no door on this side. You have to use the accommodation door for entry and exit onto the UK offside, and of course this door, the accommodation door, will also be exiting into the offside in the UK, so that's just something to be aware of. And the cab door, which will be the passenger side in the UK, is on the left side of the motorhome, so the near side in the UK. We've got a lovely big screen, and then let's just look at the cab in a little more detail, because this is the Fiat Ducato Series 8. So I should just put the key in. And the first thing we can see is this lovely big screen. Right, so we've got some oscillation going on there. So it's found my phone. I've got Apple CarPlay is all running, and another great thing is you can put the phone here, and if it's a modern phone you can benefit from wireless charging. Can you see the little blue LED now? So you've got wireless phone charging in there. If that's not good enough, you've got USB-A and USB-C here. You've got your 12-volt cigarette lighter socket here, and then you've got another USB here for connecting to the sound system, as well as cup holders, and you all know I love cup holders. So this particular model has the upgrade of the 9-speed ZF gearbox. We'll talk about that when we're driving. You can see on the steering wheel we've got plenty of steering wheel controls. Cruise control comes as standard, etc. The volume controls, etc. are on the back of the steering wheel, so it's hard to show you, but at the back of this plinth here is volume and skip and so on. You've got your dash there. So what's not to like? Well, if you go for the reversing camera, which I would strongly suggest you do, there's no reversing camera integration in the main screen. You've got another screen over here. That is not ideal, to be honest. So if I put it into reverse now, you'll see that the screen's sprung into life. So you've got to look down there. I'll put it back into park. So it's just a bit annoying, isn't it, when you've got this beautiful huge screen there. Now this screen also does not pivot, but that doesn't really matter. You can see it very clearly. As I say, the camera's not picking it up very well. And then finally we have an electric handbrake here, so there's no more leaning down to the floor because it's an electric parking brake here, which is great, absolutely great. So that's showing you around the cab. Now let's go for a drive. Right, I have just filled up, so this is a good time to talk about fuel economy. We have done 10.5 litres to the 100 kilometres. In UK terms, that equates to 30 miles per gallon, which isn't too bad, is it, for a van of this size. If anyone's watching this in the US, where I'm afraid this motorhome is not available, just for your information, that equates to 25 miles per US gallon, because your gallons are smaller. So yeah, in the UK, 30 miles per gallon, or 10.5 litres per 100 kilometres. Right, let's go, and we'll talk a bit more about the driving. Worth saying now, we've got good visibility. We've got windows both sides behind me, plenty of visibility all around, so that's good. These pillars though, as on many A-class motorhomes, can be a bit of a pain when you're at roundabouts and things like that. So just be aware of these thick pillars. There's not much you can do about it. It's pretty much the same with every A-class, but yeah, just those pillars do obstruct when you're on a roundabout. Sometimes you've got to look round them. But what I like is when you put your foot down, it goes straight away. There's no turbo lag. There's no lurching with this ZF 9-speed gearbox. You just put your foot down and it goes. That is great. So this particular motorhome is fitted with the upgrade of the 160 bhp engine and the 9-speed ZF gearbox. Going up a slight incline now, 39 kilometers an hour. So it's labouring a little bit. You need to be a bit heavy-footed with it if you want it to go. I would suggest, if you were going to go for the 9-speed ZF automatic gearbox, to also go for the upgrade to the 160 bhp engine. It feels enough, and let's just say it's a little, it's not fast. You know, it's okay, but it's not fast, and that's with the 160 engine. So yeah, I wouldn't want the automatic box with the smaller engine. So we're on a bit of a bumpy road, and you can hear behind me, even on this bumpy road, very little noise coming from the cabin. I've had to do the usual trick with the tea towel in the oven to stop the oven shelf rattling, but that's normal in any motorhome. So yeah, really good. Very few, well, no squeaks or rattles really. Nothing more than could be helped. So yeah, good on that. Now, engine noise, when Sophia and I were driving the Großglockner and it was quite steep, we found that the engine noise was noticeable. I think it's more noticeable in an A-Class because you've got a little bit less insulation between you and the engine. And going up the hill sometimes, it was just noticeable, but we could still hold a conversation at reasonable levels. We didn't have to shout at each other. Here's a clip of myself and Sophia just talking amongst ourselves while we were driving the Großglockner Pass. Oh, what, on the way back? Yeah. I just thought that, whoa.
Did you see there was a dog on the other side?
Oh no, I
Yes,
missed
there
that.
was.
Oh. I don't know this bit very much.
This is a different way that we came this week.
No, I remember this bit of road because I remember saying how diverse the road was at this point. So,
I'm going to search. Oh, yes, I do, because that was the beautiful hut we talked about before.
So the Großglockner Pass as well, it was a good workout for the handling of this motorhome. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is an A-Class motorhome. You're going to get body roll. It's physics. You know, if you want to drive something like the Großglockner and you know, go around on two wheels, then you're going to have to get a sports coupe or a motorbike. But it was fine, you know. The main thing is, it goes where you point it. There's no nasty surprises, there's no going all over the road. The steering is spot on, and yeah, you are going to get body roll. It's as simple as that, but it's not excessive, and it doesn't spoil the drive. You just have to be careful. You are driving a huge motorhome here, and you just can't drive it like a coupe. You have to drive it like a motorhome. And as long as you drive it like a motorhome, there are no nasty surprises whatsoever. Now, given its width of 2.33 meters, it makes it really two-way road friendly. It's not an intimidating width, and again, it's fairly easy to drive. If you can drive a regular motorhome or a normal van, you're going to have no problems driving this whatsoever. As I say, 2.33 meters wide, it's not 2.5 meters wide. It does make a difference, and it just makes it that little bit more confidence inspiring on these two-way roads. So that's another big thumbs up for the Trend. Foot down and it goes. Not particularly fast, but it goes. So finally, last thing is seat comfort. Well, as you can see, I'm sitting here like Lord Muck. Both two arms on the seats, very comfortable, no problems at all there. So again, seat comfort is good. So all in all, I love the ZF gearbox. It selects the right gear for the situation. We found it noisy coming down the Großglockner Pass because it was quite steep, but that's necessary. You can't, to prevent overheating the brakes, you need decent engine braking with the motorhome, and it does that. This gearbox does deliver decent engine braking, but of course it's like painfully high revs, up to 3,500, 4,000 revs sometimes, going downhill, which was a bit noisy, but it does the job. It does the job. It was steep, and we're driving nearly 3.5 tons worth of motorhome here. So yeah, I love the ZF gearbox. Really, 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 really good. Definitely recommend it. So that's the cab and the driving experience. Now let's talk about the interior, starting off with daytime living. Okay, so now moving on to the interior and daytime living. So here's an overview of the front of the motorhome, and in the UK a loose fit carpet will be coming as standard. Now talking of the floor, see there is a step up into the cab, so be wary of that. And then if we swing round, there is another step up into the washroom here, and then as we come into the bedroom, there are steps up into the bed. But what many people will be pleased to see is that the floor is quite a neutral sort of covering. It's not a fake sort of wood effect. So even though the storage locker holders don't quite line up, those of you who are OCD about planks not lining up should be fine with that, hopefully. So that's as I say, that's the floor carpet in the UK. Now in the lounge, you can see we've got the lounge layout here. First of all, we look at the table. You can make this bigger by pulling out the support there, folding it over. You've got a really big table. So it's a bit bouncy, as you can see when you're having your food. That's going to bounce somewhat, so just be aware of that really. And then this table, you can move it up and down and left and right. He says it's a bit stiff, but anyway, it is movable, and then you lock it in position when you're traveling. But the sofas I find a bit narrow. If we look here, we can see this sofa is, I don't know if you can see that, 16 inches or 40 centimeters wide to the cushion. So they're okay for sort of lounging on, but for sitting up at the table, I just find they're a little bit narrow. That's all. Just something to be aware of there. We have a nice big roof light over the lounge, and then a TV bracket comes as standard, but the TV and satellite system is an optional extra. And sticking with the slightly technological theme, we've got quite a simple display here with your battery indicators and your water tank, etc. Now what's interesting too, in the UK we're going to have the Truma Combi 6E, so your heating and hot water will run off both gas and electricity. But you can see we've got the old-fashioned Combi controller here, so no iNet capability. Don't know if that's going to be the same in the UK, but there's no mention of iNet capability on the spec sheet I've got. This is the control for the optional crash safety valve for the gas, and also an automatic changeover, so I would definitely recommend you go for the crash sensor. But yeah, you've just got the classic control here for the Truma Combi 6E, which you know, it just means you won't be, well, you'd have to get that completely upgraded if you wanted it to be iNet compatible and control it from your mobile phone. Sockets and appliances, well, we've got a double USB socket here, which I find incredibly useful for charging up all my camera gear. Another thing I find incredibly useful is that there is a socket in the lounge. So that is a big thumbs up to Dethleffs. There's also obviously a socket and 12 volts by the TV station just here. What's not so great is the position of these two sockets in the kitchen. However, I don't know where else you would put them, to be honest, in the kitchen. I mean, we'll have a quick look at the kitchen while we're here. We've got the 3-burner hob with spark ignition. UK variants will have the oven fitted here under the cutlery drawer. So you've got your cutlery drawer here. And the UK variants will have the oven fitted here. I don't know where else you could fit sockets, because if you put them on the side here, they would foul the drawer. If you put them up the top here, you'd have flex dangling down, because what Dethleffs have done, which is quite good, they've put the hob nice and far back, which is, you know, a good safety measure, and it's an easy to use hob. You've only got a little bit of work surface here. You know, you can't put the sockets too close to the sink, so the socket position in the kitchen, not ideal, but I can't suggest anything better. So if I can't suggest anything better, then we've got to live with that. You get these hooks here as well with in the kitchen. Not sure how useful they are, because you can see it kind of leaves your tea towel dangling like that. It comes with a bin in the cupboard here. Happy days. And we have the tall fridge freezer. Now this is a German spec model, which has got the optional oven fitted in Germany, and that's put up here. But like I say, UK models, it will be below the hob. And then we've got this huge, enormous and very large fridge. Just winding down now because I'm about to go home, but yeah, plenty of room in there, and it runs off mains 12 volts when you're driving, and gas. So now let's have a walk through to the bedroom and the washroom. First of all, the washroom, and it segregates off using the door here. But what's also great about the washroom, this is where it all gets a bit interesting now. If we come this side, we've got a full-length mirror on the back of the door, which is perfect for that. Hello! Sorry. But look at this, folks. If I turn around, there's a proper sliding door. Oh, there goes the cushion. A proper sliding door between the washroom and the bedroom. So now we've got a completely segregated washroom. I just turn around, show you the rest of the washroom. You've got your loo toilet roll holder integrated into the cupboard here. There's your light switches. In Germany, they have a socket in here that will probably be blanked off in UK models to comply with UK regulations. And then we've got storage here and a roof light. So lockable cupboard, plenty of space in there for your bits and pieces. But there's one thing I find very strange, folks. There's no blind to the window. So even though, yeah, it's opaque, it's frosted, but if you've got the light on in here and you are using the toilet and it's dark outside, I'm sure people are still going to see silhouettes. So I'm not too sure about that, but there you go. This is really neat. The coat hook, the towel hooks are the Dethleffs D. That is so neat. I'll just buy this motorhome just for that, really. But then I'm like that. And then we move into the. I'm just going to actually just open this door here. As I say, this is ideal. We could have done with this when I was sharing a motorhome with Sophia. I shall move my towel so you can see in the shower we've got a great towel rail, great hanging rail. And again, we've got a roof vent for the steam. Nice fully sealed shower with somewhere to put your soap. And again, folks, you know I bang on about the integrity of shower trays. This one gets a 10 out of 10 because the bottom tray is lipped. So the bottom tray in the construction process goes in first, and then the side walls go in over it. So it's physically impossible for the water to ingress into the fabric of the motorhome because the this lower tray is lipped. So big thumbs up to Dethleffs. And we've got 2 drains so that if you're not parked on the level, the water will still drain away. So that is all good, all good. Have a brief look at the bedroom now, because we'll cover this in a bit more detail as we look at nighttime living. So we've got the bed here. Below the bed here, we've got quite a substantial cupboard. Room for all your bits and pieces, and that's where the 116 litre freshwater tank lives, down at the bottom there. And then you've got your wardrobes next to the bed, your cupboards over the bed, mini Hecky roof light, and then on one side of the bed and on one side only you have double USB and a main socket. And I'm just charging up my drone at the moment. That is only on this side of the bed. There is no provision on the other side of the bed for phone charging or anything like that. But you do have these useful little plinths for standing your cup of tea and putting your book last thing at night. But also be aware, if you're a telly fan, there's nowhere really to put a TV in here either. I guess maybe you could try and put one on this bulkhead here. I love these D-coat hooks. But yeah, that's just something to be aware of. Maybe you could pull the TV out from here and swing it round, but it would be a long way from the bed and it would be an uncomfortable viewing position. But that's about that. So that is daytime living. Now we'll wait for tonight, and then I'll show you what this is like during the evening. Right, moving on now to nighttime living. So it's getting dark outside. I've closed all the blinds, and you'll first notice that we got some great blinds all around the cab area, and they're really simple to operate. They're magnetic, so it's just really simple to just close them like that. So that's really good. And also you might notice that we've got lights here over the cab seats, which is something that's sometimes forgotten on motorhomes. Sometimes the lighting when you're sat in one of the front seats can be pretty awful, whereas in this motorhome you've got spotlights over the seats, so if you are reading you've got lights here. But what I wanted to show you is, first of all, is the front bed, and this is one of the biggest strengths I feel of the motorhome. First of all, you put these seats down, which isn't too difficult, like so. Unclip the 2 clips here, and then this is the great thing, there's no electric motors, there's nothing, it's a cantilevered bed, and it just pulls down like that. That is it. Then on the bed here we've got the ladder. You can see that there's a roof light here, so we'll just close that up. And we've got a couple of lights here. There's a privacy curtain, so you can pull the privacy curtain across. And you've got reading lights in the bed there as well. So that is really super simple. As I say, no electric motors to go wrong, and it's a really generous size. Let's see exactly how big. Right, so the length is almost 2 meters, is about 199 centimeters, which is 6'6" long, and then the width is 147 centimeters, which is about 4'10". So that is a really generous size of bed. And you can also see that you can leave your bedding on there during the day, so there's no need to strip the bed when you put the bed away during the daytime. So let's switch off the lights, open up the roof vent again, put the ladder back, and it's a simple case of just raising the bed and then attaching the safety clips. It is so simple. That is one of the greatest strengths of this motorhome, is this front bed, and it's the same in all the integrated Trend motorhomes. So that's the front bed. Now let's take a look at the back bed, and that's going to be a lot more difficult to film. I think I'm going to go and get my handheld camera and show you that. Moving on now to the main bed at the rear, and this is, once again, is a generous size. The width of this bed is 1.50 m. That's 4'11". Yep, 4'11" wide. But what's interesting is the length of this bed. You can see it's got a bit of a cut-off shape, but at its longest point in this particular guise, it is 1.80 m, 5'11". However, you can extend that from 5'11" to 6'3" if you are tall, and this is how you do it. You've got a pull-out section here. You see there. You pull the mattress down a bit, and here is a bolster I prepared earlier. This comes with the motorhome, and you basically put this on the end. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Obviously it'd be easier if you're not holding a camera. So let's get this down there. Push the mattress back. So now we have a bed that is 6'3" long, or 1.90 m. However, there is a slight problem if you are tall and you're using the bed at its 6'3" length. Because if you've pulled the bed out like this, you have quite a narrow gap here if you need to get up in the night and use the loo. It's about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. Now, while I'm not the thinnest person in the world, I'm also not the largest person in the world. Let's turn the camera around. And you can see, where are we here? I have to really squeeze to get past that when it's pulled out. Now, I am 5'10½", so I actually don't need to pull the bed out, which is great. That gives me far more room to get around the bed if I do need to get up in the night to use the toilet. But if you've got the bed pulled out to its full 6'3" length, you've only got 8 inches to struggle. Which is doable, but if you are tall and portly, you might find that an issue, so just be aware of that. And then before we move on to breakages and failures, just a quick look at the lighting, which as you can see is superb. I've mentioned you got the spotlights over the cab seats, but it really is fantastic lighting, very controllable. You can have it as bright or as accent as you like. We have the accent lighting there, and we've got the same around here. So it's absolutely brilliant. I really do like the lighting. You can pretty much set any mood you like. So that is the nighttime living. So that's the interior finished. Now let's move on to everybody's favorite part: breakages, failures, and niggles. Okay, everybody's favorite part of the review: breakages, failures, and niggles. Well, kudos to Dethleffs. There have been no noticeable breakages or failures at all with this motorhome. There has been a teeny weeny little thing that hasn't quite worked, and yes, once again, it's the washroom door handle. I don't know why all leisure vehicle manufacturers seem to be obsessed with these fancy schmancy handles that operate either, I think, magnetically or something. The washroom door, it closes fine in everyday use, but when you open the door and you want to latch it open, the latch doesn't work properly. Now, as many of you will remember, I have been stuck in a motorhome where this kind of door handle has failed dramatically, and I just don't like them. And once again, that door handle doesn't secure the door in the open position when you're segregating the washroom from the rest of the motorhome. So that's just the one tiny little thing that hasn't quite worked as it should. And surprise, surprise, it's one of those fancy schmancy handles that I really wish they wouldn't use. The other slight niggles with this, and again, it's nothing I haven't said before, the clip to the entry door is insufficient. And I've had one instance today where I had the fly screen closed, the wind got behind the door, boom, it closed into the fly screen. I had to crunch up the fly screen to try and get the door open again. They're just not up to the job, especially on a quality product like Dethleffs. So please, Dethleffs, sort it out and put a decent retainer clip to the exterior door. The position of the kitchen sockets is not ideal. If someone was walking past and you had like a kettle plugged in, you might be able to pull the kettle off the work surface. You just got to be really careful of those kitchen sockets. But as I said during the review, I can't suggest any improvement on that and to satisfy all the regulations and to make it workable. So that's just something I think you're going to have to live with. Another niggle is the fact there's just no blind or fly screen at the washroom window. Now I know it's an opaque window, so people won't be able to see in, but if you've got the light on and it's dark outside, people might be able to see shadows. And of course you've got the issue of no fly screen to that window. So again, quality product like a Dethleffs, I would expect a cassette blind and fly screen to the washroom window. And then finally, one final thing, which isn't really Dethleffs' fault, I guess it's partly to do with Fiat and the new Series 8 Ducato, which is the lack of integration of the reversing camera, if you have one fitted, into the main screen of the cab. You have to have this second screen sort of bolted on. In the integrated motorhomes, it's there on one side of the steering wheel, and I believe on the semi-integrated motorhomes it sort of drops down from the top there. So again, that's just, it's just a bit clumsy, isn't it? When you're spending a lot of money on a motorhome and you haven't got that integration of the reversing camera into the screen. But really folks, these are just minor niggles, but they are just what, you know, that's my job, is to make you aware of these little niggles that you will have to live with if you want a beautiful motorhome like this, because the main thing is the overall takeaway of spending a week in this motorhome is that it is quality, it does the job, it does it well, and all in all, it's a great product. It really is. So now just to wrap up this review and give you my opinion of which options I think you should seriously consider. I mean, overall, as I've just mentioned, the main takeaway of this motorhome is the fact it is a quality product. Yeah, there's one or two little niggles like the door clip and the bathroom door handle again, but overall everything just works. It's a quality product, and I personally prefer motorhomes that are quality rather than lots of bling and lots of flashy bits on the spec sheet, but then they don't actually work. This works. It works best as a two-person motorhome. This lounge layout is great. It's very inviting, great for having guests around, and if, say for example, you're having two guests now and again and they're going to stay the night, really easy to use the drop down bed, and you've got plenty of room for 4 people to spread out. However, when you're traveling, making up the travel seats is a faff, and they're just not terribly comfortable. So if you were 4 of you traveling on a regular basis, I would recommend you look at a Dethleffs Trend, but in a different layout, because you can get the layout with the more traditional dinette with fixed travel seats. That's going to make your life so much easier. This is what I would call a 2+2. It's great for 2 people, and you've got the option of carrying 2 more people as and when on an ad hoc basis. Now, as far as upgrades to the specification go, I think there are 3 that I would seriously consider if I was buying this motorhome. The first being this ZF 9-speed automatic gearbox. It's made life so much easier, but the standard engine is 120 bhp, and on this particular motorhome we've had the 160 bhp engine. And I would also go, if you're going to have this automatic gearbox, which I think is a great idea, I would also go for the engine upgrade to 160 bhp, because it's only just sort of been enough now with 160 bhp in that automatic box. So they're sort of a joint upgrade that I would go for. Another upgrade I would go for is, of course, the reversing camera. I would not buy a motorhome without one. It's as simple as that. Reversing camera is probably going to cost you a bit more, but it's not going to cost you as much as banging the back of the motorhome. And you might think, well, that's okay, my partner can get out and they can see me back, but sometimes you need to reverse in a hurry. If you're trying to turn into a busy road and you're just not going to make it, and you need to reverse back just a few feet to carry on, you want to make sure that the car behind you hasn't come right up behind you, a reversing camera to me is essential. And then finally, the other upgrade I would have, which is fitted to this motorhome, is the LPG crash safety valve. It basically means you can leave the gas open all the time. You don't have to worry about closing off the gas every time you move on. It means that when you stop and you want to use the hob, make a cup of tea, there's no getting out into the rain and faffing around and opening the gas cylinders. And also it's a real safety feature, because I've done it, I'm sure most of you have done it. We've opened the gas, made a cup of tea when we're stopped, and then you start driving again, and then you're halfway down the motorway and you think, oh no, I forgot to close off the gas. And then you've got to stop and close off the gas because it's dangerous to leave it open. With a crash safe sensor valve, you don't have to worry, because if there is an accident, it will automatically close off the gas. So that is another option that I would seriously consider having if I was buying this motorhome. So they are my thoughts, my personal thoughts on the Dethleffs Trend I7057DBL. I hope you found it useful. So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed that full review of the Dethleffs Trend I7057DBL. For any more information about this motorhome, also to find your nearest Dethleffs dealer, please check out the website. I'll leave a link in the description below this video. And don't forget that for current up-to-date prices for when you're watching this video and availability, please check with your Dethleffs UK dealer. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Dethleffs UK who have sponsored this vlog. Now in this particular instance they have asked me to ask you to check for prices with your Dethleffs dealer, but as far as the motorhome goes and my opinion of the motorhome and how I feel whether or not it suits you or whether or not it's a good product, those views are totally mine. I only accept sponsored content opportunities as long as I can tell you the truth about what I find. So please be assured that everything I've said about this motorhome is my opinion. But in this particular instance, I have respected Dethleffs' wishes by not saying what the price is, because obviously in the current climate, the best thing to do is check with your Dethleffs dealer. So as ever, the sun comes out just as I finish. Thank you so much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, you know what to do. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already, and it just leaves me to say from DOUGAL, who I'll be reunited with very shortly, and from me, thanks for tuning in. Right, let's head back home.